welcome to another video with news stories from Ethiopia and Somalia. One news story from Taiwan as well. Nancy Pelosi, US House Speaker, despite China's threats, has arrived in Taiwan. Just 2 hours ago, she landed in Taipei, Taiwan. Secondly, we have a new story from Somalia. 75-member cabinet has been formed by Hamza Abdi Bare, Somalia's Prime Minister, and one deputy minister. Just a few minutes after the announcement of the cabinet resigned. Thirdly, we have a new story about Prosperity Party delegation, which is visiting a country. And there, outside the hotel where this PP party delegation is staying, Ethiopians are protesting. Who are these Ethiopians? Are they Tigrayans, Amharas? Why are they protesting? And lastly, viewers, on Monday, I reported that a top foreign delegation consisting of EU, US, UN, ambassadors, envoys was due to visit Tigray. It happened on a Tuesday, a few hours ago. The delegation arrived in Tigray. Tigray government handed over a letter to this delegation. Delegation will pass over this letter written from Tigray government to Ethiopian federal government. What happened? What is this letter about? And after this visit of the foreign delegation, the delegation issued a joint statement, and Gata Choreda also spoke about this key visit. I've been saying it's a key visit because this visit can accelerate the stalled peace process to resolve Tigray conflict. We have a detailed look at this visit by foreign delegation to Tigray. Firstly, Taiwan viewers. China has been threatening US government for the last 1 week, warning Nancy Pelosi, US House Speaker, against visiting Taiwan. And China mobilized its forces to Fujian, 100 miles away from Taiwan. China conducted military drills close to Taiwan's coast, and Chinese planes were seen flying close to Taiwan's airspace. But despite all these threats, Nancy Pelosi, US House Speaker, just 2 hours ago arrived in Taipei, Taiwan. You can see a picture on your screen. Nancy Pelosi can be seen when she arrived in Taipei. What did she say? She said, US stands with Taiwan. US honors its commitment to democracy. Taiwan is a robust and vibrant democracy. So US is standing with Taiwan. US is sending a clear message to China that China cannot annex Taiwan. That in case of a military offensive on Taiwan from China, US will back Taiwan. US already supporting Taiwan in terms of financial assistance, in terms of arming Taiwan. Taiwan is being given weapons as well by the US government. Can we say that US is provoking China the way US provoked Russia by trying to expand NATO, and then it led to the start of a conflict, Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia-Ukraine conflict is weakening Russia. It's weakening Europe as well. We can debate, has US been weakened after Russia-Ukraine conflict, or Russia has been weakened? Well, US has not been considerably weakened after Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia is getting weak. EU as well. In case of China-Taiwan conflict, US will not be weakened. US will back its allies in the region. It will back Taiwan as well. Militarily, US might indirectly support Taiwan. But far away situated from China, US will not bear the brunt of this move. If US starts backing Taiwan in case of China's military offensive on Taiwan. So I think it's a very calculated move from US government. US government wants to start conflicts away from its borders to weaken other powers like China and Russia. But China, though it issued threats, warnings, it has not taken any military action so far. Chinese planes have been seen flying close to Taiwan, but no military action from China so far. Secondly, a news story from Somalia. At last, Hamza Abdi Bare, Prime Minister of Somalia, in consultation with President Hassan Sheikh, has formed a cabinet, a huge cabinet, 75-member cabinet, 26 ministers, 25 deputy ministers, 24 state ministers, 75 ministers. Somalia is not a very big country, but you see that cabinet has 75 ministers. Mukhtar Robo, as we told in the previous video, is part of this cabinet, ex-Al-Shabaab deputy commander who defected, surrendered to Somalia's forces in 2016, I think. He is part of this cabinet. He is Minister of Religious Affairs. One deputy minister has resigned. Immediately after the announcement of the cabinet, he announced resignation. Who is he? His name is Abdul Qadir Ali. He was appointed Deputy Minister of Planning and Investment. And he says that he should have been appointed full minister. So his clan has not been given full representation. It seems that this cabinet is clan-based cabinet. All clans have been adjusted. That is the problem with Somalia's democracy. It's basically a clan-based democracy. And there was no one person, one vote in Somalia's election. Farmajo was in support of one person, one vote. But presidential election was indirect election. Somalia is far away from true, genuine democracy. Clan-based politics is in vogue in Somalia. 75-member cabinet it is going to be sworn in. It has been announced so far. Let's hope, let's pray this 75-member cabinet can handle the internal crises of drought, political wranglings and insurgency of Al-Shabaab and other armed groups. Thirdly, we have a new story about an Ethiopian Prosperity Party delegation which is visiting Israel, and people are protesting outside the hotel where this delegation is staying. Mofriat Kamil is an Ethiopian minister, former minister of peace. She is in Jerusalem, Israel these days, along with some other Prosperity Party officials, government officials. I think 14 other members are part of this delegation. This 14-member delegation is staying at Eldan Hotel in Jerusalem. Outside this hotel, people are protesting. Just a few people, just a few Ethiopians. Who are they? They're not Tigrayans. We see that now Amharas are protesting. Tigrayans have been protesting since the start of Tigray conflict, and some Prosperity Party officials faced the wrath of Tigrayans in some European countries. But this time in Israel, it's not Tigrayans. Those who are protesting are ethnic Amharas. Have a look at this picture. The picture shows people protesting outside Eldon Hotel. You can see name of this hotel written in the background, and a few protesters can be seen. They are ethnic Amharas. They are protesting against alleged genocide of ethnic Amharas in Ethiopia. Protests, demonstrations by ethnic Amharas in the US, in Europe, in Israel are intensifying. We know that in London, ethnic Amharas are on hunger strike. A lady was shifted to hospital yesterday, and on Wednesday, a demonstration is expected in London. And now in Israel, we're seeing that ethnic Amharas are protesting against Ethiopian federal government. They say that Ethiopian federal government, Prosperity Party, PM Abiy, they are behind the killings of ethnic Amharas in Ethiopia. Lastly, viewers, we have very important news story from Tigray. Yesterday I reported that on Tuesday a top foreign delegation was due to visit Tigray. So the top delegation arrived in Mekelle a few hours ago. The delegation consisted of firstly EU Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa, Annette Weber. Secondly, US Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa, Mike Hammer. Thirdly, Tracy Ann Jacobson, US Shocked Affairs in Ethiopia. Fourthly, Italian ambassador. Fifthly, Canadian ambassador. And sixthly, UK's ambassador were part of this delegation. What happened? The delegation arrived in Tigray. Discussions were held between Debretsion Gebremichael, Getachew, Tigray leaders, and this delegation. After the meetings, the delegation issued a joint statement. And meanwhile, while discussions were underway, Tigray regional government handed over a letter to this delegation. The letter will be passed on to Ethiopian federal government by this delegation. What is this letter about? This letter is a security guarantee from Tigray government to Ethiopian federal government that those federal government officials or others who will work to restore basic services in Tigray, they'll be protected. Their security will be ensured by Tigray regional government. Because it has been a concern or an objection of the federal government that basic services cannot be restored because for this purpose federal departments will be involved, and who will ensure the security of these federal departments. So now Tigray has ensured through this delegation to Ethiopian federal government that those who will work in Tigray for the restoration of electricity, for the restoration of banking service, telecom service, will be safe and sound. Firstly. Secondly, the delegation issued a statement. A delegation, especially EU and US special envoys, their joint statement says that basic services must be swiftly restored. Electricity, telecom and banking, and since a Tigray government has assured that it will provide security to those involved in restoration of these services, that is why now there should be no obstacle to swift restoration of basic services. Secondly, the joint statement says that the two parties have agreed on Africa-led mediation. Very interesting use of word Africa-led, not African Union-led. It means there is still disagreement about who will lead the talks, Kenya or African Union. But this delegation is pressing the Ethiopian government that it must restore basic services in Tigray now, when Tigray government has given the assurance. Secondly, it says that there must be unhindered humanitarian access given to Tigray, Amhara, Afar regions. accountability must be given priority for human rights abuses committed during Tigray conflict, and UN inquiry commission must be allowed to work and move freely in Ethiopia. Lifting of all type of ban on provision of fuel, fertilizers and cash to the affected areas must also be ensured, the joint statement of the commission says. So overall, the commission's statement is backing Tigray's position. Tigray says that before the start of talks, basic services should be restored, and that is what this delegation is saying, that basic services must be restored immediately. Now, the ball is in the court of Ethiopian federal government. Tigray's letter will be handed over to Ethiopian federal government. What will the federal government do? Will it raise some new questions, new objections, or will it start restoring electricity, banking service, telecom in Tigray? That remains to be seen. Gata Choreda, after this visit, talked to DWTV and he said that Tigray regional government in this discussion with the delegation conveyed its position about talks. And the position is that there must be restoration of basic services in Tigray. And Tigray government urged the delegation that it should put pressure upon Ethiopian federal government for restoration of basic services and then a start of talks. So let's see. Overall, Tigray seems to be satisfied after having meetings with this delegation. Delegation did not visit any areas in Tigray. No hospitals, no other ID camps were visited by this delegation. I haven't seen pictures. No pictures showing this delegation visit any other area. I think they just arrived in Mekelle, they held meetings and then they returned. Now they will be in Addis Ababa. What happens in Addis Ababa in coming hours is very crucial. We could see meetings between Demak and McConnell and these foreign diplomats. What will happen in coming hours is going to be crucial towards resolution to Tigray conflict. Thank you for watching.